Hello, friends. This is the Life Changing Book Club. And the life changing book I'm talking about today is E Squared. And if you haven't seen the previous two, you should do that now because this is the results video for experiment 2. Experiment 2, which was the one where I decided that I was going to see lots of green cars and recognize lots of people I knew. And I saw no green cars at all on the first day. So, and I have to admit that what the first day taught me more than anything else was that I do not look at cars, even when I'm intending to. So I decided, okay, what am I doing this for? What am I doing this for? Going around London trying to find a green car. So I thought, okay, draw a line under that day. Let's see, put that in the results in my lab page as instructed in the book and move on to day 2. Okay, day 2 was look for people I recognize. So I was going to do some teaching in the morning and then in a place near me, and then take the train and go to see a friend for the afternoon. And what I found almost as soon as I walked out of the door in the morning was slightly odd. Okay, it was not my usual experience of walking through London. So my usual experience of walking through London is that it's full of nameless, faceless people going about their own business, and I just hope that they don't fill up the bus so I can't get on it. I am ashamed to say that having been brought up in London, which has however many million people in it, I do not expect to see anybody I know. I do not expect people in the street to acknowledge me unless they're actually in my street. And I don't look for it. So this day, I walked out of my front door and I immediately started seeing people who looked familiar to me. So they were familiar in the way that, if you see an actor that's on a popular show, then there's something inside you that says, "Doing, I know that person. Oh, I know that person," and there's a kind of impulse to wave, hi, but which to be fair, quite often I completely suppress that impulse because actually I'm busy. Okay, I'm busy. I want to do my stuff, and I do not want to be disturbed by some acquaintance who might engage me in rather long, however interesting conversation when I've got a deadline. Okay, like I've got to be somewhere to teach. So I wasn't going at every person I thought I recognised, but it was about 20 people in one day, in two journeys basically, who I thought I had that, ooh, I know that person feeling, and then kind of clicked. Oh no, they just look a bit like somebody, or they have the they have the posture of, or the, you know, general attitude to life, apparently, of somebody that I know, or I've seen on telly, or something, you know. So yes, so I did my teaching, and then I came back through the park, saw another couple of people who did this I know you person feeling to me, and then I thought, wow, this is pretty amazing. This is interesting. What, you know, well, life would be quite different if I felt like this all the time. Maybe there are actually useful things I could get from this technique, you know. And anyway, so I was thinking this and going onto the train station platform, and I got that, ooh, there's a feeling, there's a person that I recognise, and I thought, oh no, there isn't, no, there isn't. And she turned around and said, hi. So it turned out to actually be somebody I know, and strangely enough, it was, excuse me, my glasses just fell off my head. Strangely enough, it turned out to be the wife of the man I met on the bus 2 days ago. So coincidence? Maybe. Anyway, so so that was quite a successful experiment, I'd say. So the outcome, it was that I did actually meet somebody I knew, but my mind would be, having been primed, was very, very receptive to being primed for this particular thing, for seeing somebody I recognised. Not so much for seeing green cars, right? So on the way home, I was kind of keeping a vague eye out for green cars, thinking, I can't tell you I didn't see any green cars in the whole of my journeys in London. That can't be true, can it? I mean, oh my God. Maybe they don't make green cars anymore, I was thinking. And so I was thinking this, walking back to my house, and you can guess what's going to happen. So as I walked back to my house, and I kind of saw this car that was, it looked like that colour eucalyptus, right? So it was mainly grey, but with a green tinge. But I was kind of, as I was walking past, it was on the other side of the road, and I was thinking, could I call that green? Could I call that green? Is the green tinge just an illusion caused by the lower light or something? I don't know. I'm not completely convinced it's green. And so, and I thought, well, shall I go and check? And I thought, nah, don't be silly. And so I just carried on. So I carried on the road, thinking, no, I'm putting that one down to grey. That's grey. And got my keys out to get back in the house. Put my keys in the door, took a look behind me, and there was the brightest green, tiny little Fiat that I'd ever seen, drawing up outside my own house. Okay, which would have had, without this experiment going on, it would have had absolutely no impact on me, because I don't look at cars. So it would have, I wouldn't have noticed it. I wouldn't have been interested in it. I wouldn't have laughed at it. I wouldn't have thought it was fun. Okay, which is what I do. I think it's fun that doing this experiment has resulted in me finding it amusing that a green car draws up outside my house. So the point of this, so those are the results of this experiment, and I am not yet drawing conclusions about this, any of this. Final conclusions anyway. Excuse me. I gulped down my tea before I started, and here it's reminding me it was too fast. So but I've got to say that there is definitely a differential between the way my mind responds and the way the world responds. Okay. So the third experiment is actually, excuse me, is actually an experiment with dowsing. Now, she doesn't use the word dowsing. She uses the word, the Albie Einstein principle. You too are a field of energy. Right. And to demonstrate this in no uncertain terms, she asks you to make some dowsing rods and then learn how to move them by changing your own energy. And I won't go into exactly what that means this time, but I will with the results. And so the way I'm coming at this one is perhaps slightly differently, because I've already done a similar experiment in my life, which was I created dowsing rods out of coat hangers and excuse me, and the plastic tubes from Biros. And what the plastic tubes do is that they mean that the L-shaped dowsing rod is not something that you can actually physically influence directly, but physically. You know, you can't twist it yourself, because if you try, it just slips around inside the tube. So it's quite a good test of whether there's something else going on other than the physical influence that you have on the world. And I did it when I was a teenager. I learned that, a young teenager, I learned that somebody I knew had found found water for a well using dowsing. And so I walked across my parents' garden and I found the sewer and the septic tank underneath using this technique. So I discovered that I have some kind of skill there that I didn't know existed, and it doesn't really have an explanation that I'm aware of. And so I like that about myself, that I had some power that I didn't know I had. But since it had no reason for it, I just put it aside as an odd thing that I didn't need to think about anymore. Like, had no connection to everyday life. So what I didn't do is deliberately try to influence what they did by influencing my own energy. And so that's the experiment. I've got 2 hours to experiment with that. So I really look forward to coming back and telling you if I'm actually able to do that. And in the meantime, I have my coat hangers. And I have my pens. And I'll see you in a couple of days. And in the meantime, I would love to hear what you think about these experiences. And what your experience is, and whether you think that she's right and that there's some kind of magic field out there that is doing this, or whether it's something else. I don't know. So happy reading.